Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation.
A brother, an icon to those that know him. He is Endeavor Empire.
Yes. Love it. How's everybody doing out there? Hopefully you guys are all good. I'm feeling great. It's a beautiful day. Loving life, living life, because I don't let it live me. I want to welcome you guys to the show. My name is Derek. I am Endeavor Empire. Hopefully you guys have had a great week, a great day, and just blessed to wake up every morning. I know I am. It's been fun. Kids just got home from camp, and I'm ready to start another work week. Ready to get on the grind, at least till I win the lottery, whenever that is. I know we all hoping for that. That windfall. That pile of money is going to fall out the sky. Nah, it's all good. I'll keep doing what I do until then. So today, I'd gotten some messages from some people that follow me on IG. They sent me a link to a video clip where an educator was talking about the students that were on IEPs. Two co-hosts in particular. The others I wasn't really too concerned about. But it did kind of turn me on to their podcast. And I guess that's what we'll talk about today. In any event, if you haven't heard it or if you haven't seen it, it's circling around, making its round to every social media platform, and I mean every social media platform. The video in question refers to a podcast called Teachers Off Duty. The episode dropped back in April of 2023, and it's currently still listed on their podcast. It is currently entitled Parent-Teacher Conferences Gone Wrong. Now, when I first heard the clip, I was a bit disappointed. I was a bit upset, heated, because I myself have 3 kids that are on IEPs. One of them is out of school, 2 of them are still in school. And I did kind of immediately jump on the bandwagon with the parents, feeling discouraged, upset, angry, mad about how educators could talk about these kids like this. And I was kind of shocked. I was like, the hell? Who talks this way? Your teachers, for Christ's sake. I didn't think you guys put that kind of business out there. There should at least be some kind of confidentiality among students. But nevertheless, I decided to do some research. I decided to hear it for myself. And I'm kind of glad that I did. Because as I was doing my research, when I came across this clip, there was a lot of pissed off parents, a lot of angry parents. And I'm not even sure if the parents kind of got to their podcast or even found it. I think that one clip just kind of set it off for them, and then that was just pretty much it. But, me personally, I'm just the kind of guy that wants to get all his ducks in a row and try to figure out things and see if there's some kind of legitimacy to what they were saying. Maybe it was just a misunderstanding. In any event, we'll kind of break that down during the show. But one of the co-hosts who took it, kind of got the brunt of it, was a co-host on this podcast. Her name is Miss Lauren Woolley. She is currently an educator. From what I can see, still an educator, as I did some research. She's currently working as an elementary school language arts teacher. Assuming that this is, she's from Ohio. So before we break this down, we're going to kind of go through who Miss Woolley is. And you guys can kind of decide for yourself if you kind of think it was wrong. Now, the topic in question refers to students that are on IEPs. I'll give you definitions of both. What an IEP is and what a 504 plan is. An IEP is short for Individualized Educational Plan. It is a plan that is developed to ensure that the child who has a disability identified under the law is attending an elementary or secondary educational institution is identified under the law and is attending an elementary or secondary educational institution, receives specialized instructions and related services. That is an IEP. A 504 plan is a plan that is developed to ensure the child has a disability identified under the law attending elementary or secondary educational institutions receives accommodations that will ensure their academic success and access to the learning environment. So kind of two different definitions, a little bit worded differently, but somewhat almost similar, but not quite, just somewhere in the ballpark of almost being identical, but not. In any event, as we go through the show, I'll also play you the clip of Mrs. Woolley, and the other educator in question is Mr. Devin Sidebold. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. But these were the two particular co-hosts I was interested in on this podcast. About Miss Woolley, she is 28 years old, is a very, very, very active social media star, content creator, who has gained popularity for her TikTok account. Not surprising, I'm not a TikTok follower. I don't get down on TikTok. I can't stand TikTok. Even though my mom sends me videos faithfully about TikTok, which I do look at, respond, and laugh. I don't know, TikTok is just not for me. I haven't quite caught up with it. I think it's mostly scrolling about the videos that annoy me, and they're only like maybe seconds long, so that even pisses me off even more. In any event, her videos have earned her over 5 million followers on the platform. Or that's a lot. And here, I don't even have that many. I think I have one or two. I'm kidding. I don't even have TikTok. So she is currently an educator. Mr. Sideball, however, he is 38. He is not an educator. He is a comedian. He was an educator, but I guess when COVID hit, he decided to leave it all behind, focus a little bit more on his comedy, podcast, whatever. It's whatever he does. He has a YouTube channel, which has amassed over 84.50K subscribers as of 2023. He did start this a while back in 2012, so I guess he's kind of been at it a longer than, well, I think he's kind of been at it longer than Miss Woolley was. In any event, he is currently not an educator. She is. So we're going to play the clips, and I did kind of have to piece them off because one wasn't, when I was listening to the clip, it did kind of break into a commercial. So I did kind of split them both in half. So we will play you both clips, and then we will kind of go from there. We will discuss, and I know this is what some parents had sent to me, but keep in mind the clip they sent to me was a TikTok video, so it was kind of edited, maybe run together, whatnot. So these might be a little bit over 4 to 5 minutes long. So you'll hear it, and then we'll kind of listen to it, and then we'll kind of get into it. I will try to give my honest and deep opinion, kind of dissect it a little bit, but I'm not in the business of, discrediting a lot of people. I am a lot in the business of giving my opinion. So to my Instagram followers and those who follow me on any social media platform, this is just going to be my opinion. I hope that what I say you'll kind of take away from it, maybe have a better look and a perceptive outlook on where I'm coming from. Because I know that there are parents that listen to my podcast, some which are local, which surprised me, and that kind of said, hey, your voice sounds familiar. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I do. It's like, well, what do you do? I do a podcast. I don't really do anything else besides work. But in any event, we will play it, and then you guys can kind of figure out, kind of conform your own opinion. And keep in mind, I like to hear your feedback. I love the feedback. I love the emails. I love the messages on IG. Just give me your honest opinion on what you might think, or maybe something that you want to discuss. So again, there's no right, no wrong. There's no debate. There's a conversation about it. And that's what I believe in doing, is giving a conversation. So we're going to dim the music down a little bit, and then we're going to play Miss Wooley's clip. So without further ado, here we go. Maybe. Maybe not. Hang on, we got some technical difficulties arising. All right, here we go. Here we go.
So conferences are coming up, and I dread conferences every freaking year. I don't care how many times you've done them, every time they suck.
One of the weirdest things that I realized once I became a teacher is there are so many couples that are so okay fighting in public and arguing in public.
Yes.
It is so uncomfortable. I've had it so many times when spouses will start arguing and yelling at their kid, and I'm just kind of sitting there like, all right, let's wrap this one up. Don't feel like you have to stay.
Right.
You can go.
Yeah.
No.
Go to the Applebee's and talk this out.
There you go.
What time is over at 2 for 20?
We're going to stop the conference and wait for Child Protective Services to join us. And but see, here's the thing. You guys, the younger kids, conferences for high school level is me sitting in a room by myself going, why did I do this?
Exactly.
And
they don't have to come to you, right?
They never. Well, they just don't.
They just don't.
They just don't show up.
Did your parents go to your high school conferences?
Mine?
Yeah.
I had an IEP, so they did.
Oh.
They had to.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
She's
out you on the internet.
No, I talked
She was
about
like,
that.
your parents look like they didn't
Yeah,
care.
yeah. Your parents don't. It's like it was an uphill battle every day.
Nah, because my parents definitely didn't go when I was in high school. At that point, I got good grades, so they're like, there's no reason for us to be there.
So you're at that point of the
No.
lost cause.
Yeah.
But it's like the opposite way too. Is like you get good grades and they're like, yeah, we don't need to be there. And then they're failing. They're like, yeah, we don't need to be there. Yeah, you're gonna do this on your own too.
That's
Mark,
how it is with my students.
With your students, how is the setup there? Is it like the parents come with the kids? I don't know the elementary world.
It depends. There are some families that bring the whole crew, and then there are some that are like, I'm gonna bring my kids but lock them out of the room while I'm talking to you. And then there are some that literally just bring them in and don't watch them at all, and then they go rampant, destroying my stuff. And I as an elementary teacher, I account for that. I know that people are going to come with their children. So I put out things on the carpet that they can play with, and I don't care. They will take the entire bin of Legos, dump it all over the floor, and then they won't clean it up, and they'll move to I have a reading station. They can sit and read a book and have it read to them. They'll go over there and pull out all the books and don't put them back. And then they'll take all the flexible seating and toss it around the room. And the parents are just watching this happen. And I'm like, I could never.
I always give them a reminder too, because
could
once they
never.
leave, they don't clean it up.
No.
Well, there
at all.
are some that are like, clean this up, and they yell at their kids. But I'm like, why wouldn't you be like, no?
Do you prefer to have the child there? So, because my kid is, in elementary school, and I had a conference with the teacher, and I didn't bring my child. To one of them, and I was like, I just want to talk one-on-one about what's going on. And then the other one, I found out that he was doing better, and I was like, can we have a conference? And I brought him to intentionally have the teacher and myself have a conversation about how awesome he's doing, so he knows that
Praised.
that's a good thing to keep it up.
Yeah.
So. I feel like there's times where you should and shouldn't have the kid in the room when you're talking to them.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm indifferent with that. it doesn't bother me either way. I think there are benefits to both. And like there are sometimes things you just want to talk about with the parents, but majority of the time, like I like when the kids are in the room too, because it holds them accountable. And like, okay, I had a couple of kids that are like, they're on IEPs, but like they're very, very like barely qualified as an IEP. And so I'll talk to the parents and be like, there's like, they have every ability to do this, 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 and this. And their grade is this. And I'm telling them like, oh, they have a study guide. They have this, I send home. And the parents just go, really? I didn't know about that. And
The
they like,
look is the best.
they death stare their child. And I'm not trying to get the kid in trouble, but I'm like, you messed up.
I love that
Like-
moment when you tell the parents what's going on, and then the parents just slowly turn and look at the kid like, oh, that's not what you told me.
Yeah.
And you just know right away, like, oh, this is not going to go good once they get in the car. This is not going to go good for them.
Yeah, and I have a few students like that this year that are like, trying to play it like their parents are the ones that aren't helping them. And I'm like, no, you don't take anything I give you home.
Okay, so that was one of the co-hosts. Well, actually, a couple of them. I know that was Mrs. Woolley and Devin Sidebold. I think the other one was Tell Williams. I think. Don't quote me on that, because my perspective wasn't really focused on them, even though he did say that he was on an IEP. So that was from the first clip. Now, here's going to be the second clip. What Mr. Devin Sidebold had said. Then this was right after it came back from commercial break. So this wasn't me. This was them.
The best part is like when you get to like basically talk crap about the kid and the kid's there, because you can be like, this kid is DUMB, and I would be worried about him knowing what I'm saying, but he can't spell, so he's just sitting over there going, I'm dome, I'm dome, and so you gotta like kind of
Spin that.
lean
Yeah.
into it, lean into it.
I like having just the parents there because for not even like talking about the kiddo, but because we get to see the kids every day. So it's nice to have that partnership with the parents. And I also think there's several times if you want to come and pick up sometime or whatever, where we can have a conversation with your kiddo there. But I think it's nice to just have the parents. And I don't want all the siblings to be there because same thing as you, they dump out all the toys and then I have to be like, okay, 10 minutes, clean up the counting bears, and then they leave. And then I just have the next one. So you're at school until 8 o'clock because that's when it's scheduled. And then you're at school till 12 o'clock trying to clean up.
I always get a kick out of.
Okay, so that was Devin Sidebold. God, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I hope I'm not mispronouncing his name. If I am, I apologize. So you guys can kind of understand from yourself. So this was a clip that was circulating on TikTok. Now, I didn't really find anything offensive when it came to what she was saying. And I'll tell you why. Because as I said before, I had 3 kids that are on an IEP. My son is older now, and so he no longer attends school. Now, my daughter, which is in high school, and she was on an IEP, I think through middle school, and she's still on one currently now. Now, this is where, to me, what Mrs. Woolley was saying, that there were kids that are on IEPs that didn't seem that they qualified for an IEP. Now, I'm saying, as this is my opinion, I'm not speaking for her, but this is what I interpret it as. So when she said that, because it sounds like she does a lot for her students, and that's good. Hats off to her. Now, when she said that, I was thinking kind of the same thing, because my daughter, which made the honor roll and then principal's honor roll for 2 years when she was in middle school, and now she's in high school. She didn't make it this year because of her biology class. So she's very organized. She's very goal oriented. She's focused on her work. And biology was the only class that she struggled in. So she didn't make the honor roll this year. Was she upset? Yeah. Will that deter her to do better next year? Yes. Now, her situation, because I had often wondered, and I even asked the IEP, why is she on an IEP if she's on the honor roll? And I just thought maybe somebody made a mistake, and they really couldn't give me a definitive answer except that, well, she's not reading at a level that we want her to read at. And I was like, okay, but the work she's doing obviously is showing her that she's doing it right if she's made the honor roll. She's made the honor roll twice and the principal's honor roll. So I don't know. In any event, my youngest son, which is on an IEP, and he has the full use of the team. I mean, he has to get the full workup according to everything. So he needs minutes for everything. So he's very persistent, very hyperactive young man. So his work, his learning, of course, is a lot different from his siblings. So when she said that, then I kind of understood what she was saying. Do I think that what she said was wrong? I don't really think so, because she's saying that what I think about my son, because when he gets work and he doesn't bring it home, well, he just wants to either jump on his Xbox or go outside or play games or whatever. So he doesn't want to focus on the work. So that's kind of the way I took that as. And I know people are kind of dragging this young lady through the coals or raking her over the fire. But I don't think that it was just fair to her, because I don't really think she didn't do anything wrong. I don't think she should be kind of lumped in with Mr. Sideball. Now, the other podcaster that said he was not IEP, I mean, kudos to him, because, a lot of people don't admit that. When people hear IEP, they think there's something like wrong, and I know it's been worded differently, because back then we didn't call it an IEP. We call it either a SPED or a special education classes, which kind of gave off the notion that, hey, there's something wrong with you. And that's not necessarily the case, but everybody learns differently, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, well, I don't think Miss Woolley should have been crucified the way she was, because I think she is a good educator, even though she's young and she's fresh out. I mean, Lord knows they're recruiting them right out of college these days. So, and I think she still has a lot to learn to perfect her craft. Where I think she has to understand that the teachers have tenure, though that they're saying what some of these teachers may or may not feel. I mean, it's a show. It's all in good fun. It's all in good laugh. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who loves to get a good laugh. I've got no problem with it. I love it. She's very successful. She is married. She doesn't have any children. So I don't know. Would that have changed her perspective? I don't think it would have. But she's born and raised in Ohio. From her YouTube and TikTok and YouTube alone, she does quite well. And even saying that she does quite well, what I mean is that she's making very good money, and that's just not off teachers. That's probably off of her social media accounts, but she still continues to be an educator. Why? Because obviously she loves what she does. So I don't think she's doing it for the fame or the social media or anything like that, because she also has a YouTube channel where she does challenges, and then she does vlog videos on her YouTube channel. And that account has roughly accumulated over 1.4 million subscribers. So my hat's off to her. Now, I think that going forward, I can't really say anything that would say that what she did was wrong. I just don't see it. I just think what she said was kind of been misunderstood. And I think if you listen to that clip, or you've seen that clip, most of us run towards the negative instead of looking at the positive, or instead of just trying to turn around and say, well, maybe that's not what she meant. We are human. We make mistakes. So that being said, I think her co-host, Mr. Devin Sideball, what I think he said was kind of, oh my gosh, that was not good at all. Not good. Give me a second. I know I got to get a drink of my Red Diamond tea. Hold on. Oh, it's great tea. If y'all believe it or not, this stuff is probably in my veins. Ooh, did I burp? Sorry. Excuse me, people. I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that. I'm just being all kind of rude. So what he said was kind of, ooh, Lord, wrong. Because he has children. He has 2 boys, 6 and 7. And one of his kids are on an IEP. And what's bad is that if he has younger boys, I don't know if their parents might listen to it and feel some kind of way. I mean, I probably sure would, because that's telling me as an educator at one point in time, you thought this way. I don't know if it was in the beginning where you first started teaching, or I don't know if it was in the middle or the end. In any event, I don't think that kind of tone should have been said. You know, listen, for those of us who have children that go to these parent teacher conferences, yes, it is a lot, but it's more a lot on the teachers, because think about what they have to go through and what they have to do to ensure to make sure your child is getting that education that they need to get. I've yet to hear an educator call a student dumb, ever. I mean, I was called a fool once, but that wasn't because it was something in class. It was something that happened in the library. But the teacher apologized to me, and I apologized to the teacher. So I just don't think that what he said was appropriate. And though he's not an educator anymore, I think he decided to step away from teaching at the height of the COVID pandemic, because he did stop teaching to focus more on his comedy and his podcast. I haven't heard anything about his comedy. That's not to say he's not successful, but I think when I looked at his page, he kind of headlined for some names that the only person that was familiar to me was Ralphie May. Now, what he's doing now besides running his podcast, I don't know. But I also checked on the host of this podcast, and I don't think he's on there. Either that or there was a shift change or a personnel change. Since this post, Miss Woolley has apologized for her actions, and I think her apology to me was heartfelt. Now, I know others think that, oh no, it wasn't heartfelt enough. I mean, people, listen, I'm not sure what you expect when somebody apologizes. I mean, there was one user, TikTok user, who went as far as to call the district. That's fine, as well as you should. But obviously, they didn't find anything offensive or wrong with her actions, and she still has her teaching job. They may have told her to, I'm not even sure what the hell they told her, because to me, I don't really think she did anything wrong. I think what she did was say that there are some students that shouldn't be on IEPs. Why? Because they're probably smarter and they are just normal kids who maybe are just lazy and don't want to take the work home. I mean, listen, I got kids. I was once a kid. I mean, what she is saying is what I have done. You know, when parent-teacher conferences come up, and, you know, I'm kind of like, oh my God, you know, because, you know, every year, you know, it's always going to be the 1 or 2 times where, you know, you're missing work and your parents want to blame the teachers when it's actually the student's fault. And what she was saying is that she prepared everything for them. You know, they sent them home. You had a planner, and they were just not following through with it. That being said, that to me didn't really warrant what people are giving so much grief about. And parents, if we're teaching our children to do the right thing, and these teachers are trying to help your child do the right thing, you need to stand behind the teacher. Yes, we all know our kids. We all know what they're capable of. But siding with your kid just to make your kid look better and you, the gold star parent, is not helping the situation, because they need to be taught responsibility. Now, there are teachers before Miss Woolley who have a great amount of year tenure, who have dedicated their lives to teaching, who are still dedicating their lives to teacher. And I'm just proud of that. I really am. Now, for Mr. Sideball, you know, it's not hard to forgive him, but I think when he apologized, his apology just wasn't heartfelt enough. he was trying to deflect and say that, oh, it got cut off. You guys didn't hear the full thing. Well, we did hear the full thing because even though they cut to commercial, it still picked up right where you left off. I think that, I don't know what it is. He is currently not on the Teachers Podcast show. I don't know if that was due to the backlash of what he said, or maybe he just has other things to work on. I don't know, because from what I can see, I only see 4 hosts, and he ain't one of them. I see a Tell Williams, a Lauren Woolley, Rebecca Rogers, and a Brianna Richardson, who anchor the Teachers Off-Duty podcast. So I think they're doing wonderful things. Now, I don't know if Mr. Sidebolt feels that way, is because he thinks he felt like he's right, but he did say some very hurtful things. And if you have a child that's on an IEP, saying something like that to a variety of people who listen to your show on podcasts is just not right. You're basically spitting in a child's face and telling them that they're dumb. And that shouldn't be the case. I think children have enough to deal with coming up, and they don't need an educator such as yourself to tell them what you feel about them, because that kind of sticks. And I don't want him to be the man that's going to be known for this, but something tells me he will, because it's saying that, in my opinion, that's telling me that if you come across a child that might not be slightly intellectual or on the same page as you or your children, then to me, that's kind of forming some opinion in your mind. And I know he's a comedian. I've heard comedian jokes about children, but they wouldn't go as far as to say that, spell words out when you're a parent-teacher conversation and say, oh, your child is dumb. I mean, as a parent, I wouldn't even want a teacher to tell me that. If a teacher told me that, I would not only be angry and heartbroken, but my thing is, why are you teaching? Why are you here? You should be in another line of profession. Because clearly, if you feel this way, you've been feeling this way for quite some time. Now, some might say it's the stress of what teachers do. Yeah, it could be. He was a teacher for 11 years before he decided to step away. So I don't know if COVID had something to do with that and it was just boiling over. I don't know. I doubt that they would come talk to me on my show, which is fine. I'm not looking for that. I'm just looking to set what some of my listeners asked me how I felt about it. And this is clearly how I feel about it. I don't think Mrs. Woolley did anything wrong. I do, however, think what Mr. Sidebolt said was wrong. And I think his apology should have been more heartfelt than Mrs. Woolley was. In any event, she apologized. And I believe 100%, because when she apologized, she learned from it. And that's what makes us human and more responsible. And when students see that their teachers are human, that they make mistakes and they can apologize from it, yes, they can come from it. Because since then, her subscribers have went up. The podcast is doing very well. And again, I challenge those, especially my listeners, to listen to the podcast so you can hear it in its entirety. It's called the Teachers Off-Duty Podcast. It is the Parent-Teacher Conference That's Gone Wrong episode. And I think it's a very great episode. I listened to it. I laughed. They said some things that kind of resonated, because back in the day, we kind of needed this sort of thing. And I know there's a lot of people and a lot of teachers that like what they do. And I have a great appreciation for what they do. Yeah, they're young. Would I rather hear from some older vets that's been in the game for a while? Oh man, I would. I would love to hear that. Because though I'm not shading anybody on the podcast show, they're young, they're fresh out. And I've seen teachers, fresh out of college, and they're going into a new environment. I mean, some of them have to sign contracts stating that they won't quit the first year, which, I get it. There's a shortage of teachers. Our veteran teachers that's been doing this for decades and decades, they're leaving. They're changing because of certain things within the public school system is changing. And I feel, as I said before, they're not valued enough as teachers. We pay politicians money and they can't even get it right. But I damn sure guarantee that the teachers always, in my opinion, get it 100% right all the time. I love teachers because of what they do. I love how hard they work and they're dedicated. And as I said before, you see some teachers that have second jobs, but they won't give up teaching because that's who they are and that's what they do and that's what they love. Miss Woolley, take her for example. Not going to disclose how much money she makes. Let's just say she makes enough to retire from teaching and to focus on this podcast. But she stays because she loves what she does. She's helping these students thrive. And I love it. I love it. You know, I mean, I honestly, if I could, I would go be a teacher. I've been told this by all my kids' teachers that I should look into being teaching. Do I think it's a little bit late for me? Not really. It's not. You know, but I love students. I love to learn. I love to read. And that's part of why I did my homework. Homework. I did my homework on these two individuals. Now, the other co-hosts, I'm sure they're fine. They're good. And let me explain something to you guys. If one of them can admit that they were on an IEP, and if you feel some kind of discouraged or your child feels discouraged, an IEP doesn't define who you are. That just makes you better. So don't take anything to account to what people say what an IEP is or how you feel a certain way about an IEP or a 504 plan. Because everybody is not the same. We all learn differently. There's nothing wrong with that. Some are a little bit more advanced than others, but they do. But you have to understand, there's nothing wrong with who you are. Again, you're advancing. You're getting the time that you need. You know, my son, who was on an IEP, has a whole team dedicated to his learning process, and I love it. Oh my God, they are so awesome, this district that we live in. I mean, they take care of him. They help him out. They hold him accountable. And I love that. So just because you hear those words, IEP, does not mean that there's something wrong with you. It just means you learn differently. But that's nothing that can't be overcome. Anybody can overcome anything that they put their mind to. You're not defined by what people tell you or who you are. And I think what Mrs. Woolley is doing is great because she just doesn't stop with the podcast. I've seen her vlogs. I've seen her trivia and her games that she does on her podcast, and they're educational. So clearly she's doing something right. I don't think you need to keep throwing gas on the fire for someone who is still trying to do what she does best and what she loves. She doesn't need to be canceled. And I think for the lady that called, who put her video plant that, yeah, I called her district and I spoke to them about it and I told them that they need to let her go. Okay, first of all, that's not your decision. She did nothing wrong. Obviously, the educators or the administrator listened to the podcast and found no wrongdoing. So that's what I'm saying. We can't give people second chances, but we want to give second chances to stupid people. And I mean stupid people, I'm talking about politicians. Politicians that don't get it right. That's what I'm talking about. So don't come back on me and say, oh, you just called somebody stupid. No, I'm talking about the people who we hold in power. We give them all kinds of second chances. But a teacher who is doing the right thing, who is woman enough to apologize for her actions, we want to crucify her. No, correction. Y'all want to crucify her. I don't. I love what she's doing. I think what she's doing is great. I do. I just can't feel the same way about Mr. Devin because he has kids. And I think what he said was kind of bad. And that's the crazy thing is that Miss Woolley doesn't even have kids, but Mr. Sidebolt does. And then you talk this way and you have kids and then you're trying to justify your actions as saying, well, that's not what I meant or yada, yada, yada. I've yet to hear an apology. And if he did apologize, I couldn't tell what the informal apology was. You know, when you're being attacked, the thing that you would do would just be kind of what you should do is just humble yourself. Say you made a mistake. Yes, it was wrong for me to say. I do apologize to those that I have offended. Because let me tell you something. if I did something wrong, if I said anything wrong on my podcast, you best believe I would apologize for it. I would. If somebody called me out and said anything, well, okay, well, Derek, what you felt it was just wrong what you said. Yes, then I would apologize. I have no problem doing it. That's what I teach my kids to do. That's what I want them to do. If you make a mistake, you're going to own up to it. There's no shame in that. I'm not right 100% of the time. I'm not right in what I do. I like to fact check. I like to do my homework. I like to kind of investigate things before I go any further. So, I'm sorry. Something's on my screen this is weird. In any event, that's what I think. So, if you listen to my podcast and you've seen these clips, I think that what you should do, because this is the problem with social media, and I think social media is reckless, and I think it's out of hand because they only show you the bad stuff on what they want you to see, and that's what kind of gets everybody riled up, and that's what kind of gets everybody all hyped up. Oh my God, yeah, this sounds about right. I don't know why we do that. I don't know why. I think, and the problem is, even though we know it's wrong, we still do it anyways. And then when we do it anyways, and we're looking at ourselves like, that should have went the other way. Yes, it should have, but it didn't. It didn't go that way. So I think the problem is we don't pay attention enough and we don't do enough investigating because we're so quick to jump the gun and we're so quick to jump on that bandwagon and say, well, yeah, that's right. But then when it's all brought to light and it comes back around, then we're thinking to ourselves like, that really shouldn't have, okay. Yeah. It's nothing wrong admitting that you're wrong. It really isn't. As I said before, I think most of the people or some of the people that I know listen to this podcast because they brought it to my attention. And there's nothing wrong with that, and I think it's good. But I think we should hear them out. Miss Woolley has already apologized. I think she should be forgiven. I mean, again, this thing aired back in 2023 and it's still circulating. So I just couldn't believe some of the comments that she was getting. And even though she apologized, a lot of people said that, her apology is not heartfelt enough. Well, that's fine. It may not be heartfelt for you, but it was heartfelt for me. Now, Mr. Sidebowl, no, I'm sorry, sir. You got to do better. You got to do better. You have children. Set an example for your children. Don't sit here and try to blame it on somebody or deflect on something else when what you said was wrong. There's nothing saying that you were wrong. The only thing you got to do is just apologize. I mean, I don't even know if this is going to get to him. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Again, we're both parents. He's a parent, I'm a parent. If I said something like that about my kid, I would expect nothing but backlash. I would. But the thing is, I try to be respectful. That's why I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. I didn't want to come in here guns blazing and talking, this is what y'all should do, cancel them out. No. I will support anything that I feel is right. I think their podcast is right. Should you listen to it? No, don't listen to it. Listen to me. No, I'm just joking. I'm kidding. It's all good. It's all love. But I think you should. I mean, I get fan emails. I get messages on IG. And like I said, I just love doing what I do. I'm not looking for a wow factor. I'm not looking for a huge follower. I just love doing what I do, as well as other people do what they do. And I don't think they should be crucified for it if what they're saying is just, it wasn't bad. So, my listeners, I hope, hold on, I gotta get this drink of this red diamond tea. Oh God, I love tea. Tea is so good. When the red diamond gets into you, I'm sorry I keep burping on y'all. That's just rude. I mean, if y'all want to call me out, just call me out. Not just joking. But I just want to say to my listeners, hold on. No, I got to hit this vape. I love this vape. Pastel Cartel Escobar. I hope that this puts some kind of perspective. I mean, I hope that the opinion I'm giving you is an opinion that you can live with. I mean, we can agree to disagree. If you want to further understand, please, but don't take everything in a negative way. And if you do, turn that negative into a positive. You know, if your kids have questions about it, well, this is what I think she meant. Try to explain it to them the best way you can. I don't sugarcoat. So, and I have some of my boys listen to podcasts, but they don't listen to podcasts like this. It's usually about games or music and, what's hot and what's late. I don't get it. These kids today, I don't understand. It wasn't like back in my day. But then again, we have podcasts back in the day. You know what our podcast was back in the day? A tape recorder. Us recording on a tape and then playing it back so we can hear ourselves. That's our podcast. And we didn't even publish it. We made copies and distributed it to them. Or we use the answer machine. Oh, good shit. Good times. I love it. So in any event, as we get ready to close this podcast out, I appreciate the messages. I appreciate the letters. And I hope that this puts us in perspective because you guys know the kind of person I am. I'm not the kind of guy that's going to fly off at the handle and just start throwing people under the bus and just start bad-mouthing people. That's not me. That's not who I am. I believe in getting to the facts. I believe in doing some research, and I believe in trying to see what we can do to kind of make it better. And if this finds the Teachers Podcast, Teachers Off-Duty Podcast, I wish you guys nothing but the best. I think what you're doing with your show is great. I like it. I love it. I would hope that you guys get some veteran teachers on there. And just for, so you can get their kind of take on things. Because I know you guys are a younger breed, the newer breed, the new world order, so to speak, or the new generation. But I think talking to them, I already know your show is doing good, but just, having a teacher on there to say, hey, this is how it happened. And, you guys can kind of hash it out. Not hash it out like in a, bad way. Just talk about the different teaching experience and the styles and what they went through and what, they can kind of shed light on whatever it is that you're doing or what you want to do or trying to do. So it's not bad, and you guys don't need my help because your followers are huge. You guys are huge and you're going on tour. Congratulations. So to my listeners, thank you. As we get ready to close out this podcast, I want to say thank you for the letters. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. I appreciate you guys. Again, I do what I do because I like doing it. Not looking for a wow factor. I am looking for that check. So if you guys want to send me 39 cents, cash at me. No, I'm kidding. It's all good. It's good. But I do it because I love it, So in any event, since I don't know what track this is, because I think my playlist kind of went off the rails because nothing is highlighted on my screen, we're going to let you go to this track. So until next time, my friends, if you have any comments, gripes, complaints, if you want to hear something, maybe you might want to be a guest on my show and we have something to talk about, please feel free to email me, d6empire357@gmail.com. Again, d6empire357@gmail.com. On another note, I do have an IG page up that's dedicated to the podcast. I will be posting on those pages as well as my current pages. And you can find that link in the description of the podcast. Now the podcast page, the IG page is Endeavor Empire D6. That's where we will start posting more of the episodes, getting feedbacks, also putting up subjects or topics. And feel free, you want me to see some other things, instead of emailing, you can post to my page or whatever. You can tag me in it or whatever. But I do appreciate the support, appreciate the followers. Thank you guys for just listening to me nag and nag and nag. It's all good, my friends. So, my friends, until next time, you guys take care of yourself and each other.